Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Invin. Today I am going to be covering everything new that came to Season 3 of Cold War that affects League play. So this is going to be things from gun balancing and gun tuning to movement and UI updates. Now obviously one of the first things you guys will see when you log into League play is we now have a combat record. Yes! Finally, something we really wanted. Combat record is finally here. This gives us a chance to see which weapons we use the most and what kills we have with each weapon on this interface, as well as showing us our average elims, average SPM, elim to death ratio, and other stats along the way, such as highest kill streak. Now, this is really cool. It's not as comprehensive as the multiplayer version of its counterpart, but it is still decent, and it's a good step in the right direction for actually getting some stats that we can see. So this is going to be really good going forward, as we should be able to see some benchmarks at the minimum stats required to get into each of the divisions, so competitor, advanced, expert, elite and masters. So hopefully we can see some benchmarks there, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because as soon as they are available I will be making sure to cover them on this channel for you guys, so you can stay up to date with all of the latest League play news. Now, one of the first things to cover here is movement. There has been a huge overhaul to the way that movement works, and one of the first things you will notice is slide cancelling is no longer a thing in Cold War. That is right, they have taken out slide cancelling. What they've done is made sliding and then crouching or ADSing or jumping a separate movement animation, and that means that it's now no longer a smooth movement. It is actually two separate or three separate actions that you do after the slide. Now this is in an attempt to make the coding better on the network, essentially meaning that we'll have better, more balanced gunfights, but it does mean that the movement isn't going to be as smooth, and some of the jumps and movements you could do with the slide cancelling in the game are now not going to be available, which I think is a shame, because it's going to make it a little bit more clunky. But if the trade-off for that is that we get better engagements and more accurate engagements, then that should actually be quite a good feature. But let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. They have also increased the speed at which a player can go prone, which was actually updated in Season 2 Reloaded to be made slower, because slide cancelling was actually such a big feature of the game, which they didn't expect it to be. And now they've taken that out. They've now reduced that speed back down again to make it quite quick to prone and to crouch. So this means you'll probably see a lot more players drop shotting in League play, and means you yourself might be able to take advantage of this a lot more, as it's going to be a more viable feature once again. So make sure you're on top of that, and make sure you get those Groot elastic wraps on and those drop shot wraps on, so that you can actually do this while ADSing. Now another thing to mention here as well is that the SMGs have had an overhaul, making them all slower movement speed, and this means that the pistols are now the fastest movement speed weapon and criteria of weapon in the entire game. You can create an SMG class that moves as quick as a pistol, so equalizes being the fastest movement speed possible in the game, but it does mean that you're going to have all of the movement speed attachments on that gun, which is not necessarily the best attachments for the weapon in terms of League play competitiveness. So potentially it might be a trade-off between whether you want to move quicker and get to objectives quicker, maybe for an S&D class, versus having that accuracy and reliability that we have for those normal standard League play setups. So let me know again what you think about that down in the comments, but I think that is probably a good change, as it does mean we're going to have more consistency, and also get those pistols on, because you're going to be running a lot quicker with those off the start of those rounds there. Now another huge thing that you will see that directly affects League play is the audio cues in S&D. A lot of you guys have probably already noticed this if you've hopped into regular S&D or into League play and got the mode S&D. It makes kind of an upbeat ba-bum when your team gets a kill, and when the enemy team kills one of your teammates, it makes a doo-doom, so you know that there's an audio cue for each time a teammate dies or an enemy dies. This is good, because it means if you queue with randoms when communication isn't always exactly on point, you do have some sort of audio cue where you can then look up to the map, see if you can see that red dot, or see if you can see where the teammate or the enemy died, give you a rough idea of where enemies are. But overall it is quite annoying and quite loud, so I'm gonna have to see if there's an audio feature to turn that down a little bit, because it is quite a loud feature. But I do like it. I think it's something new and exciting that we can see in League play specifically, that is actually going to help with communication factors and with knowing where the enemies are and what's going on in the game. So that is a positive thing. Now another thing you will notice about the Season 3 update in Cold War is that there has been a ton of weapon tuning. Obviously the LMGs and the shotguns have had an overhaul as classes, but more noticeably and more important for League play is that the ARs have had an overhaul too. So the FFAR, basically, to sum it up, there's quite a lot of patch notes for it, but it's had an increased size in its first increased mag, so now from 34 as an extended mag to a 38 extended mag on its first level there, and a reduced ADS negative impact on this magazine, meaning that you can ADS faster with this than you could before, but overall it's had a negative impact on the ADS speed, and the overall speed of the gun is now a little bit slower than what it was, but it still seems to be perfectly viable, and a lot of players have been having some good success with it in Warzone as well as in League play. So let me know what you guys think. If you have tried it out, is it still good or is it not so good anymore? Now, another thing that's happened is the Krig 6 has had a huge overhaul, and this one is a really important change, guys. Krig 6 seems to be a bit of a favourite at the moment. Lots of people using it. A lot of debates have been going on between that and the QBZ as to what's the best gun after the XM4, because obviously that is still in play in League play. But basically what's happened is the increased headshot multiplier on the Krig 6 has gone from a 1.25 multiplier to a 1.4. So this is a 0.15 headshot multiplier increase. What this basically means is you're going to be able to get a stupidly high TTK if you're hitting those headshots on the Krig 6, and it's going to be a 1 to 2 shot kill if you have got a headshot in there, which is really good. Now, this means that it competes with the QBZ, because the QBZ was tending to be a bit of a favourite because of the fire rate on it. Yes, it had a little bit less damage, but because the fire rate overall was quicker, had a slightly quicker TTK. Now, another thing to notice about the Krig 6 is it has got a reduced max damage from 35 to 33, meaning that each shot is hitting a little bit less. But with this damage multiplier to the headshot, it is going to mean that if you are more accurate and you are hitting those headshots, overall, now along with the ADS buff that we saw in the Season 2 Reloaded update, where the ADS got an overhaul and it's a lot more quicker and more clean to ADS with the Krig 6, paired with this headshot multiplier, this is now going to be a very lethal and very good gun, and I'm sure you'll see a ton of players using it and taking advantage of this, and I would recommend you do the same. It may well be that they tune this down in the coming days, because this is obviously still a work in progress with League play, but the Krig 6 seems to be like it's going to be one of the better guns at the moment, so definitely try it out and see what you think to it. Another thing to follow on for is ADS barrels move speed has been changed for assault rifles, and the only one that affects really League play is the ultralight barrel, as the rest of them are actually restricted on this one. But the ultralight barrel you can use on some of the ARs there, and this one has had an ADS move speed bonus given to it, so you are going to move a little bit faster with that barrel. So I'm assuming the strafe speed and the ADS strafe speed has been increased with this barrel, which is quite nice. As I mentioned there, the only SMG update has been to the movement speed, so obviously the pistol's now faster unless you use the specific attachments, but like I mentioned before, the specific attachments that give you movement speed aren't necessarily the best ones, so you are going to be having a battle between whether you want the movement speed or whether you want the best attachments, and I don't think it's going to be all that much slower. From what I've played myself, it's a little bit slower than it is with a pistol, but to be honest, if you're running a secondary pistol, because obviously now we can't run overkill, you've got that pistol there anyway, switch to that at the start of the rounds, particularly on S&D, and then just play with your main gun. It's not that much slower, and to be honest, when people are using ARs or snipers anyway, you're still going to be quicker with that SMG, so it's still pretty good. So that is going to be everything that is relevant to League play with the Season 3 update to Cold War. Hopefully this video has helped you out and covered everything that you needed to know. Obviously, take advantage of all of the guns I've recommended that have had a buff in this patch. Test them out, see which one you like the most. Now, after all of these changes have taken place, I'm definitely going to be using the Krig 6 a lot more, because it is a ton of fun to get those 1 to 2 tap headshot kills. If they've been tagged, they're a 1-shot. If they haven't been tagged, it's a 2-shot headshot, and it's a very good and satisfying weapon with the steady speed that it has. It's a deadly precision weapon. It's very good. Definitely try them out. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like on it, because it really does help me and the channel out a absolute ton, so it'd be much appreciated. If you are new to the channel, check down below, make sure that you are subscribed. If you're not, press that red subscribe button and turn the notification bells on, as that will make sure that you get notified every single time I upload a video. And as you can see from the channel today, we've done tons of videos covering Season 3, and that is going to be the plan going forward. We're going to have tons more videos covering everything you need to know about Season 3 and all of the updates that came with it. So if that is something you're interested in, make sure you subscribe down below if you want to find your way back to the channel. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Take care and peace.